Hello, I'm Penny Pullen, and today I'm delighted to bring two people together, experts from very different fields, who have brought their expertise together to come up with something completely new. This is a disruption game plan, and it's a new book which is about to come out. Very, very exciting. Anyway, let me introduce you to these two experts, Dr. Ruth Murray-Webster and Eleanor Winton. So, first of all, can you tell me a little bit about each of you and how you met?
Absolutely, Penny. We met when I was working at one of the big four consulting firms, and I had been there for some time leading what was called the Future Institute, which was all about helping clients think about what the future looked like for them. But we really understood that we were only part of the picture, and we needed to do more to be relevant. And so it was really my lucky day when in 2014, Ruth walked into the room, having just joined the firm. And she was going to be leading the risk in the boardroom practice. And that was because Ruth was an incredibly established expert in both risk and change. She was an author, she'd been a consultant for many years. And just within the first few moments of us exchanging ideas, we could see that there was a real connection there that we wanted to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's right, Eleanor. I think it was the realization that Eleanor, from an innovation and a strategy and foresight perspective, and myself from a risk and change perspective, that we could see the obvious synergies between our respective disciplines, but yet how for our clients they really needed to bring those together rather than treat them as somehow separate. And that was really the spark and how we started working together.
When did you decide to write the book, and where did the idea come from?
So it's actually really the other way around. So we started to think about this idea all the way back in 2014, and actually we have many stories of our frustrations in trying to work together in the intervening years in many different contexts. But really, it was at the beginning of lockdown. I think, like many people, we were forced to reassess what our own businesses were about and what we were trying to do. And so it was at that point that we thought, that there's such an opportunity here for us coming out of the other side of this great global disruption to share our insights and our thoughts with a much wider audience and help them to drive value from what's happening and what will happen in the future. And so, yeah, it was almost a year ago, wasn't it, Ruth, that we first penned those few words, and here we are very close to the launch, which is very exciting.
Who's the book for?
I guess, the book is for any leader who is leading an organisation who either perceives they are being disrupted, could be disrupted in the future, or indeed, and I guess this is what we really hope leaders will see, is how they could be a disruptor in their market. And lots of people who've chatted to us about the book think that our thinking has really come on the back of COVID-19, that we're talking about COVID as a disruptor. But really, that's only one of a long stream of things that have happened that, disrupted many organisations. And, there are lots of stories in the book, and I'm sure people listening will have their own. So really, any leader, senior leader who is interested in how to future-proof their organisation is our target audience. And we know that, in really large organisations, there might be lots of people who are involved, who are maybe foresight specialists or risk specialists, innovation specialists, sustainability specialists, and maybe they have their act together and they're working as one team to deal with disruption, but maybe not. And I think in smaller organisations, that depth of specialism maybe won't be there. And so, we really hope that leaders will read this and see some value in what we're saying. Anything you want to add to that, Eleanor?
I think the only thing that's maybe worth adding is that, this is really for any sector, any industry. And so often, we talk to clients who look at other sectors being disrupted and think, oh, well, that's not an issue for us yet. But of course, these things happen at different times and different rates, and it's coming to every sector at some time in some way. So this is really for anyone who's leading a business.
So, what do leaders consistently get wrong when faced with disruption?
I think it's a really good question, Penny. It's really linked to what Ruth was just saying in answer to your previous question. So often the way that we think about value is something that we've created that we want to protect, and I guess that's kind of barrier or error number one, which is to seek to preserve what you already have rather than to look ahead and think, where could we create more value, new value, and that's a brave decision, and it requires you to understand, your attitude to risk and all of those things. But I guess the second thing is exactly the sorts of the groups that Ruth was talking about within an established business. So often they don't necessarily talk to each other. So risk, innovation, sustainability, strategy, and for us, it's really a crusade to help leaders to break down those barriers, to break down those silos, and have their organizations work more effectively together in collaboration.
Yeah, I think just building on that, when we talk about connected thinking and breaking down silos, it's not just a casual observation. I think we've just seen this so many times, and indeed, in working with clients where one part of the organisation is looking at an aspect of disruption independently from others, and that sometimes in our organisations they're more set up for competition than collaboration, and certainly a great idea that might have happened in a commercial group or in a risk group is not so easily picked up and run with by other parts of the organisation. So, and there's lots of reasons why that is the case, but we know that overcoming that is really vital if new value is going to be created from disruption.
Absolutely. So there are loads of barriers to getting it right, aren't there? But what are the enablers? Let's be a little bit positive. What are the enablers? What needs to change in the way that leaders address this challenge?
Well, I think it's the very thing that brought Ruth and I together. It's that connected thinking, that it's making that connection, but particularly between innovation and risk, which we very much see as two sides of the same coin in a disrupted environment. You need to be able to move flexibly between those and have them talk to each other and understand each other in that context as well. And so that's why we set out in the book a really kind of a simple 4-step framework for connected thinking happen inside your business. And so if I just walk through the steps very, very high level, but obviously people can see them on the screen there. So it's really important, first of all, to actually see the future through a range of different lenses, a range of possible futures for your business. And so that's what we call the stimulate and motivate step. Having understood what the future could look like, of course, you've then got to facilitate a debate within the team around around how you might, how you understand the impacts of that, and then how you might chart a path to the future that you want to create. Then, of course, having done that, that's a great piece of thinking. And so often, Ruth, I mean, this is the time when we hear people say, kind of, so what? And so often, this is the point at which businesses sort of stop this thinking process. But actually, it's really important then to move on and actually innovate and mitigate in response to the future that you anticipate. And actually, it's really important, again, to say that we don't say innovate or mitigate, because that would be reinforcing the very silos that we're trying to smash, but actually innovate and mitigate. So create your strategy to innovate and mitigate in response, to exploit those opportunities and defend against those risks. And then finally, or at least finally in terms of the steps, but not finally in terms of the process, is to update and anticipate the plan that you've built, the game plan you've built as a business, and make this whole kind of flow, this framework for thinking, part of how you do things on an ongoing basis. Because doing this once might insulate you from some disruption in the immediate short term, but it's not going to resolve the issues that you will face on an ongoing basis. So really, you have to integrate these 4 steps into how you do business day to day, into your performance measures, your meetings, all of those things.
And I think what's really exciting about what we've done, and maybe we didn't quite know this at the start, but as we've written the book and started developing our consultancy services around this, is that across that 4-step framework, we've got integration between, you know, thinking about strategy, thinking about innovation, thinking about sustainability, about risk, and about change in every step. So, you know, it's not the, oh, well, first of all, in stimulate and motivate, you know, there's a jazz hands moment where someone comes along and, you know, helps people think of bright ideas. And then that's completely disconnected from the next process of really having the hard discussions about, you know, what is your appetite and capacity for risk and how you can take that forward. You know, rather, we've got all of our expertise integrated into every step, and yeah, we're really excited about that, and know that it adds huge value with the clients we've worked with so far.
Super. It's back to the three of us now. So, what do you see as the biggest opportunity to drive value from disruption in the future? Because I'm sure that's what people want when they're buying your book.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that, you know, it's ages, you know, many years since the idea of the triple bottom line was, you know, first written about and talked about, and the idea that, you know, the life beyond just a search for profit is absolutely what is going to enable organisations to thrive in future. So that focus on profit and on people and on our planet, the idea's been around for a while, but we're seeing that, you know, there's real energy and positive energy behind that idea now. And for us, it's absolutely vital, and that to drive value from disruption in the future, there is a focus on the triple bottom line. And, you know, part of the reason for that is that organisations that succeed now and certainly in future will be organisations that are trusted, you know, by their stakeholders, and therefore, you know, pursuing profit at all costs is a dead idea as far as we're concerned. I think there's lots of evidence from that, backed up by World Economic Forum, and, you know, the whole chatter around the bazaars, if you like, is that triple bottom line is here to stay, and that's absolutely our view, and, you know, and that's an integral part of what we've done. And I think, Eleanor, you know, you monitor the you know, the measures for trust, I think, quite closely, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Ruth. You know, the sort of key global measure that we have is the Edelman Trust Barometer. And, you know, if you've been observing that as a leader over the last 10 years, you would just see it's been a kind of depressing downslide in public trust. And for the first time this year, we are globally net distrusters of all the key institutions that we've set up to manage our society. So it's no wonder that we have, you know, unexpected events happening in politics, that we have disconnection of people in different social groups, that we have that some of the challenges that have emerged in dealing with this pandemic, you know, the difference between global and local thinking, protecting your own economy versus understanding the long-term global picture. So trust is absolutely key to this. And for us, if you don't, as Ruth said, you know, if you fail to take account of the triple bottom line, if you fail to plan your business around that framework, then you will be disrupted, and it may not be, you know, next year, but it will come to you, and it will be catastrophic. So you have to take account of that.
Wow. So how can readers use the book, and what will they get from it?
Do you want to go on that, Eleanor?
Yeah, I mean, I think the book is very us, isn't it, Ruth? I mean, we're very practical, and we're very much about giving people stuff that they can use, and not just kind of telling them about things that are interesting, although that has a place clearly as well. But for us, there's so much great stuff out there around strategy, around risk, around innovation. And so really what we set out to do was to really kind of synthesize all of that into our framework that we just described. So how we want readers to use the book is to really commit to action from the minute that they finish the last page, whether that's on the e-reader or on the paperback version. So we want them to kind of see the tools that we talk about, not just as examples, but things that they can practically put into action. And I guess what we've done, Ruth, is to create a suite of tools to support that, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the idea is, I mean, it would be a failure for us if someone read the book and went, oh, that's really interesting. We've really written it in a way that is intended to go, no, you right now need to do something about this, but also with a focus not just on action, but also on thinking differently. So I think we've tried to in quite a chatty way, in quite an informal way, lay out some key ideas and to promote people to think differently and to act differently in their organisations. And we set challenges, throughout the book. We share some tools, we give some ideas about how to go forward. So we hope it will be really, really practical, and that people will, immediately be able to get value from what we've done. That's our aim.
And I've read the book, so I can say it definitely is practical and valuable. Where can readers get more support as they set out to build their own disruption game plans?
Well, I think, we live in a social world, don't we? So for us, it's really important that, first of all, people connect with us. If you're reading the book, if you have questions, if you're exploring it and want to understand more, please do, connect with us on LinkedIn. But also, we've created a website, the Disruption Game, or www.disruptiongame, where the readers of our book can go and sign up and have access to lots more supporting information, from more of our stories to help build the picture, through to a really detailed breakdown of the how. And what we also have there is the opportunity to spend some time with us and actually explore what it means to be a facilitator of this process, which is a really key part as well. And so everything that we're doing is really focused on helping people to build the confidence to do this for real.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it's probably also important to say, Eleanor, that we've tried to take our own medicine here. That in working on this book and thinking about how we engage with our clients, so often in the past, either Eleanor or I or both of us together would be hired to come and work with an organisation, for a set piece, for a strategy workshop, an innovation workshop, a risk workshop, something that was seen as maybe not intended to be a one-off, but also often became a one-off. And so we know that to help organisations to really work with our 4-step framework and to keep that alive and embedded within their organisation, then the services we offer need to support that. So we are, to use the phrase, much more interested in teaching people how to fish rather than giving them a fish. And and so the resources on disruptiongameplan.com are really focused on that, and we hope that people will find those really, again, practical, useful, accessible, and really great value. The really important thing for us is that we hear from people, and what they think, and there's a solution to every problem. And so we hope people will reach out to us and really work with us on what we think are really exciting and important ideas for the future.
Brilliant. And just to finish off, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Dr. Ruth Murray-Webster and Eleanor Winton, and enormous congratulations for their incredible book, The Disruption Game Plan. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Penny.
Thanks.